All right, make a move to come out of executive session first. And then do the pledge.
So I guess we'll make a motion to.
Yeah, I'll move to return to regular session with no action taken. Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're out of executive session officially. We'll, I guess, commence the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen, or continue it September 6, 2017. If you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Send our prayers and thoughts to the people in Texas, those in the way of the pending doom in Florida, and also to the family of the the gentleman who died today in a freak storm in New London, of all places, with a microburst. Very sad news. Any additional agenda or consent items this evening? I don't believe so. So we'll go right to delegations. Who would like to go first?
Anybody wants to go ahead, get up here. Ronald Randall, 194 Boston Post Road, East Lyme. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First question I got, I would like to know, I purchased these Weston and Sampson's report. Two of them cost me $250. I'd like to know if anyone on this board have read these two reports, because I have. And I remember I brought this up at a meeting, I don't know how long ago it was, because my memory is not too good sometimes, but our first selectman told me it was going to cost $19,000 to clean this place up. Well, I read through here, and that piece of property is polluted. And I just want to read a few things that I found in here. That might take a few minutes, but I think this is very important. If the town bought this piece, and never in my life or have I found where a town or somebody has bought a piece of property that's polluted and we have to pay to clean it up. So here's one thing. Consultation with an environmental attorney familiar with the state and the federal environmental laws should be sought if the town desires to move forward with this purchase of this property in order to accurately determine the full extent of the environmental liability the town will assume from the land transaction. The town should also consider developing language into the purchase and the sale agreement that stipulates that the current owners be completely responsible to clean this piece of property up. So from what I've read through here, that we got some pollution there. So I did a little investigation on my own. And there's one piece of property in East Hartford, 100 by 100. That was a gas station, and it cost $570,000 to clean it up. They have to go down 16 feet or more to the water table and remove all the soil. And I don't know if we've done that yet. Doesn't look like it to me. And there's another one in New London that was owned by a customer of mine. They have paid, the insurance company has paid over $3 million already for the pollution in the ground. So, I hope that you don't have an intention of just covering that up and blacktopping it, because I think there'll be some other problems if you do that, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not lying about the 19,000, because that's was told to me right here at one of these meetings. Now I see we're asking for a grant. So I'd like to know really how much it's going to cost. Clean this up, are we going to put test wells in, or what are we going to do? And I see, one of my little birds told me today that we're thinking about taking over the police department down there from Dominion for $1 maybe, I don't know how much. But anyway, today is 9/6/2017. And the time is 7:30, and I'm going to tell you right now, that piece of property right there on both sides and the police department is completely contaminated. Because I can tell you one thing, the power company always pile their stuff out in the back for a long time, and they leaked. And it went into the ground. I know my dad worked there for a good many years. Transformers were piled up in the back. So better look into that, and then we're taking it off the taxpayers, off the tax rolls, and we're going to lose the taxes. I got quite a few things, but I'm not going to bring them all up. I just want to bring up something about one of my customers in the town of East Lyme that's putting up a building, or a metal building, to store his tires in there. And the town of East Lyme is making this gentleman run an 8-inch water main in for sprinklers in a place where he's going to store tires. Well, I'm not an engineer, but I ain't stupid either. You don't put a tire fire out with water. You use foam. Water won't put it out. It's at a cost of $50,000 for a businessman trying to make a living. And he's putting a sink and a toilet in there, and he can't take the water off that 8-inch main. He's got to run another line in there for the toilet and the sink. I've always said, and I'll say it again, this town is anti-business. You hire people that don't know how to talk to people. They're arrogant. And I can tell you, I've been there a few times, especially with my daughter's house down there. Mr. Joe Smith has got something up his craw. And I'm not too happy with it. He's complaining about the apartment over the garage. Well, I was there when Jean Claude okayed that. He says, Mr. Furman, you come down and sign the permit, and everything is fine. So, Mr. Nickerson, don't tap your finger. You make me nervous. So what else have I got to say? Oh, another thing I heard through the grapevine that our illustrious fire marshal wants to retire, and wants to retire the police department pension. I don't understand how he can do that. He's a fire marshal, he's not a cop. So that's what he's got to retire with, as far as I'm concerned. And I just read an article in the paper the other day, the Hartford Current, that a couple of these fire chiefs and stuff retired from the fire department, and they had so much sick time and vacation time. One guy got over $100,000, I believe. I hope that doesn't happen in this town, to make them take the vacation, and if they don't take it by December, they lose. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Do you need my information, ma'am?
Yes.
Joseph Mingo, 397 Boston Post Road.
I owned a service station in London, was 8,000 square feet for 15 years. There is no such thing as a service station that doesn't have groundwater pollution. I don't care what Weston and Sampson says or the first selectman says. We know there's gasoline in the groundwater in Weston and Sampson report because the report said there was. Myron Hendel walked in there when they were gonna buy that property and told the first selectman at that time, don't buy it. If anybody knows about groundwater pollution, Myron Hendel knew. He was a taxpayer in this town. My service station on Ocean Avenue, the one down behind the recovery room, there's one on Broad Street in New London. They've been pumping groundwater out of there for the last 30 years. There is no such thing. We have MTB in our wells in this town from pollution from the gas stations along the main thoroughfare here. I was dead set against Costco building a gas station. I don't care how safe they think the tanks are. That's not the problem. It's the people who drip. All it takes is a couple drips, put 18,000 cars in there, and after a while you got gasoline in the groundwater. It doesn't evaporate. Stuff goes in the ground and the rain washes it away and it ends up in the well. We've already had a problem with hydrocarbons in the well, in well number 1. We built a filtration plant which we never used. The other problem I'm having right now is the police station. We know it's got pollution under the building. Heating oil, because there was a time when they were going to give it to the town of East Lyme. And the town never took it because of the pollution in the ground. I know that the environmental laws have changed. New Milford foreclosed on a piece of property a few years ago that had pollution problems, and municipalities weren't entitled to Superfund money. So it cost New Milford a fortune to clean it up. And I'm going to tell you that I lost $1 million because of the pollution in my service station. The property was worthless. The report says here that the responsibility for cleaning up the property belongs to the owner, not to the municipalities. If you folks feel that you're going to bone the taxpayers, which is what you're doing, to get taxpayers' money to clean up this site, which the town, we don't need that place for a police station. We have 2 sites in this town that we could have built a police station on. It should have been built for $7 million, and it never happened. We have property behind the high school, and we have Darrow's Pond. We could build a police station there. Should have gone behind the high school. That's what it should have happened, but it never did. So that piece of property right there, leave it to Dominion and let them do what they want to do with it. They're going to have to clean it up. You know, it's assessed for $800,000. I don't understand why a piece of property on the ocean is only worth $828,000. That's what it's assessed for. Taxes down to $15,000 a year. I don't know whether their taxes have been abated or not. I don't know. I got this from the assessor today. But the town has no business buying it. Let Dominion clean it up. That's who's responsible for it. They're the ones that polluted it. Let them clean it up.
Anyone else? We'll move on to our meeting. Approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of Board of Selectmen, August 2nd, 2017.
Move to approve the Board of Selectmen regular minutes of August 2nd, 2017 as submitted.
Second.
Motion and second. Any corrections or comments?
I have a correction
Yeah?
on my ex officio report regarding the harbor management plan.
Oh.
It was not approved by the harbor management. So I'd like it to state that Mr. Daigle stated that the state of Connecticut is preparing a letter of acceptance for the harbor management plan. Vice, the harbor management has approved the plan.
I'm fine with that correction.
Yep.
And I was not here for this meeting, but at the end of it, of the minutes, am I looking at the same minutes? Draft? Oh, that's draft. I'm sorry. It's draft motions.
Okay.
My bad. All in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'll abstain. Any other abstentions? We'll move on.
For the consent calendar, I move to approve the consent calendar for the meeting of September 6, 2017, in the amount of $26,892.13.
Second?
Motion second. Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We move on. First item of our new business is the review and approval of the Police Commission's request to increase the fee charge for use of our police vehicles on external road jobs. Outside overtime jobs is what they're commonly referred to. I must correct the item on our agenda. We will not be approving this fee, as the new police commission and its charge that we voted in gives the police commission the right to establish fees for such purposes. So in a rare instance, this Board of Selectmen will not be approving a fee. It has already been approved by the board, by the police commission, and so shall remain that way. Do I have that right, Mr. O'Connell?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Anything to add? Not really.
The fees would be paid into the treasury of the town.
Right, as our we have a $5 fee currently that we charge outside overtime. In reviewing what other towns charge for Eversource or a tree cutting company or someone cutting into the road, an outside contractor, this happens almost daily in this town, especially in the warm months. We charge $5. Most towns charge $25. Our police chief and our police commission reviewed that and have voted positively to move our fee to $25. What we do want to do tonight, and what I'd ask you to consider to do, is to approve, well, is that in here?
Number 2?
Yeah, number
Yeah,
2,
we have it right there.
the action item, thank you. It's not on the agenda side, it's on the action side. Move to establish an account in an CNRE account entitled Police Vehicle Fees to be used for the deposit of these hourly fees charged for outside police jobs. And we'll take that money and buy police cars with them. That's what other towns do. They typically are able to buy their police cars with the fees from outside agencies, paying the not the fines, but the fees. And this could eventually, if we build up the CNRE account, come off the taxpayer's burden and move it to this fee-based account. So we're still trying to figure out the logistics with Anna Johnson, Board of Finance, whether we will have to establish this through the Board of Finance or whether we just have we will have to do it? Okay. So we'll approve the creation of the CNRE account. It will then go to Board of Finance and a town meeting. Okay.
I'll move it for discussion. Move to establish an account in capital non-recurring Fund 32 titled Police Vehicle Fees to be used for deposit of the hourly vehicle fee charged for outside police jobs. The purpose of this account would be for future purchase of police vehicles, and forward to the Board of Finance for approval, and this will require a town meeting.
Second.
The first year, this is not going to be the case, so I don't want to be misquoted. That we're starting, already it's September, and we missed a lot of outside jobs starting January 1st. So when we get to next year's police cars, we're still going to have to use our acquisition plan, but we'll be able to use some of these funds. And as this fund gets generated and starts growing, we'll be able to buy our cop cars through this fund. So this will be a growing fund. We have a motion. It's been seconded. Okay, any comments, questions? Yes, ma'am.
This really surprised me when this came up, and I believe it was at a public meeting when Mr. Rando asked how much we were charging various organizations for using the police vehicles. And I was astounded when they said it was $5,
Yeah.
because we had this discussion at a previous board meeting probably 5 or 6 years ago, that we were undercharging, and we agreed that the rates should be increased, and then apparently
never did.
it fell through the
Yeah,
cracks.
yeah.
So thanks to Mr. Rando for bringing this to our attention, and making
Well-
a comment on it, and I certainly think that this is long overdue.
I'd love to give credit where credit's due, and Mr. Rando did bring it up, but the Police Commission had been already working on this, and this is a direct result of having the police chief and the police commission who are fine-tuned and focused on police business. This will not fall through the cracks, and that's my promise.
One thing, it's a little sidetrack too, but we have radios that were state police compatible. We can't use those anymore. And just over the last few days, the manufacturer agreed to give us roughly about $4,000 for equipment that was worth,
Thanks, Ed.
10 times that. Sergeant Masick, the chief, and a couple other people there said there's got to be other departments that need this equipment. And in just a few days, they've got commitments for $17,500 in moving this equipment. So things that didn't happen before are now happening because there are people looking at this on a daily basis. So kudos, Mr. Price, the chairman of the police commission, is here. So please pass on to make sure everybody in that department knows how impressed we are, the fact that they've come up with a way to raise $13,000 so far, more to come, $13,000 more than we would have had if we sold it back to the manufacturer.
Yeah, good work by Sergeant Masick.
If, for some reason, the fund grows and it outpaces the need for purchased vehicles, would we have to meet again and vote to use some of this fund to buy radios or other things the police department made?
Move it around.
I don't know, $100,000 a year, 2 vehicles a year, every year, but if we have a boom in construction and we bring in more than this value of what we have to purchase, will we be tying our hands, limiting to just police vehicles, vice putting it for other purposes?
We could just move it to another, reappropriate it from one line to another for something like that, I'm pretty sure.
You good with that? Should we reword it to add police equipment?
Yes, I believe.
think so.
I just think,
Chairman thinks so. I think broadening it a little bit stops us from having all these town meetings where we're, like tonight, we're going to be talking about just reappropriating money that we already have. This will be the same thing. So maybe amending it just to include for police vehicles
And equipment.
and equipment, police equipment.
I would just say equipment because
Okay.
if you're buying a computer, that might not be considered police equipment. That's just a computer for the office or something. Equipment, I think. So I'll
Radars for the cars.
Yeah,
Most of it
equip-
would be equipment for the cars.
equipment.
I'll just add, I'm glad that we're doing this. I'm very the accountability of having a separate account is a good thing. Do we lease our vehicles now? I mean, do we pay it over payments or do we buy them outright in cash?
We buy them.
These vehicles we buy outright. Perfect.
Yes.
So this allows us to buy them outright in cash. I mean, with $125K a year budget, on average, that's great.
Right.
And I like having a separate account with more accountability.
Indeed. It will lessen the debt load too. When you
Yeah.
think of it
Yep.
that way. So we have you want to amend your
Amend it
motion
to,
include equipment. Did you second it, Mark? Who seconded that motion?
I'll second it.
So, seconding the change in the motion. Okay. So I'll call the motion then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? We'll move on to the next item. I think that's Mrs. Wilson. Kathy Wilson, why don't you come on up because I know you'll have a presentation, right? Yeah. Do you want the screen down or no?
No.
So I'll set the stage for you that the East Lyme Community Center opened. I can't do the math. 27 years ago?
I can't do the math either.
28.
28
Ask Mrs.
years
Johnson,
ago.
she knows I can't do the math.
In our kitchen, which is a full-service kitchen that puts out meals and meals and meals daily, there are 2 major appliances, the stove and the refrigerator, that are original to the building. If you could get your refrigerator at home to last 28 years, these days, especially the way they build them. So we have a situation where the East Lyme Community Center, namely the Senior Center, is in need to upgrade. and you've done a lion's share of homework here, getting bids, making sure you're getting the right price, the right equipment for the job, and that's so critical. So why don't you take it from there and tell us what you're asking us to approve tonight?
So first of all, I want to acknowledge that two of my commission members are here in support tonight, B.B. Smith and Mike Bekich. So as Mr. Nickerson stated, the community center kitchen, or the community center building, opened in 1989. We have two major appliances that are original to the building, the refrigerator and the stove. The refrigerator, with replacing that, we'll just get a more efficient appliance than one that we have that's 27 years old. The stove, the significant issue with the stove is back in the fall of 2015, the building was converted from propane to natural gas. And at that time of the conversion, there was a kit that was put on the back of the stove to, accommodate now natural gas instead of propane. And it has not worked right since. And we've had Eversource out to try to fix it, and it's just not working the way it used to work. We have to manually light the stove top, so you turn the gas on, strike the match, light it, and the oven temperatures are just, for whatever reason, it's just not working. So we really are looking to replace those two things. In addition, we really needed a little bit more oven space. So what we wanted to do was get a convection oven in addition to the stove, and we sort of dropped the stove size a little bit, because we have right now a grill and a broiler that I think we've used in the 20-plus years I've been there, one hand 5 times. So we want to get rid of that, get the convection oven, and because we want to do that, there's some counter space that needs to get removed in order to place the convection oven in, but we'll replace that with stainless steel tables, a stainless steel table with a bottom shelf, which frankly I like a lot better, because we have laminate in the kitchen now that has been there since 1989 and is getting a little punky. So, but that's sort of where we're heading.
So you got 3 bids,
I
and
have
your commission chose one, the best one,
Yes.
who will deliver confidently, and maybe, I guess they're the lowest price too, but you're confident in their service.
We're confident in their service. They were the lowest price when we did the initial okay to it. Then we noticed that there was a change, or there was an error in their quote, which tweaked it up about $80 or so. So
Oh.
it's still, it's not a
It's still right
significant
there.
change.
Okay.
But yeah, we felt very confident with the vendor.
Terrific. And you're asking for, the total project is
Right, that includes.
$9,604?
Yes, that includes a plumbing quote. I was supposed to have 2 more quotes today to be able to have 3 quotes to show you.
That's okay.
I spoke to one plumber all day today, and for some reason could not get him. I couldn't get him. His technology would not allow his quote to scan to me to my email, so I'm not sure what happened. But and I've lost my train of thought. Oh, I know. So that the quote includes at most a $950 for the plumbing,
Okay.
but we are going to get a $3,000 donation from the Niantic Lions to bring that down to a total cost of $6,500 out of the Powerhouse account. However, we ask for the entire amount, then we get the donation from them.
And then you'll take the $3,000 donation, move it back into the Powerhouse
Correct.
account.
Correct.
Fantastic. Do you know what roughly the balance is of the Powerhouse account?
I certainly.
Roughly.
28,000.
28,000.